Yo team, so the month of March has come and gone, albums have dropped, and we're here to talk about which were actually the worst. Now, just as a side note before we get to the actual part of the video where I talk about what were the worst albums, just know that I also put one out last month, but I goofed and combined the worst and best in one video, so go give that a peek if you haven't seen that already. Also, before we get to the video, I want to make mention of two albums that I'm going to give dishonorable mentions to, that I see people shitting on. The first being Goliath by Exodus. I can't speak on it because I haven't listened to it, so I might get to it, I might not. The other one I see people shitting on is ADL by Yeat. I'm not gonna lie to you, I made it about 3 tracks in, whichever the song was that was featuring Elton John, and I had to tap out. I couldn't do it. I can't say that I, would have switched up at the latter half of the album and been like, oh, this is great, or I don't know, but it was gearing toward being a shitty album. So if you do have that on your list, keep it there. I believe you, but I didn't listen to the whole album, so it's not going to be on my list. Anyways, in the month of March, according to my trusty Princess Mononoke journal here, I listened to a combined 87 projects. As I mentioned in the last video, I say projects because I listen to albums and EPs. But for the sake of time and for this video and for videos going forward, I will never include EPs. We'll go strictly albums. 87 projects, and luckily, at least from what I listened to, there weren't that many that offended me, so to speak. It's very few, so we'll get to them now. Anyways, first up on my list is Water Baby, Memory Be a Blade. I will concede and accept that, not everyone will feel the same way I do about this album, because this is one of those genres that's very hit or miss for people, or people have what they like in it, and that's R&B. I like my R&B a little more soulful, a little more sexy, a little more groovy. Gets like I don't know. I prefer the type of shit that, you put on a playlist to put somebody in a pretzel, not whatever this is. I will say the one positive take away from this album is the instrumentation. You have your string sections. It sets very somber moods and stuff like that, but I think for my taste and my liking, the vocals are a little too dull, a little too boring. I don't listen to music to put on in the background. I want music to be the main focus for me, and this sounds like background music to me a lot of the time. Again, the vocals are not bad. Obviously, I couldn't hit these notes, but they're just boring. I didn't have fun listening to this album, and that's why it's on this list. But as I said, not everyone will agree with me, so I'll concede on that one. The next 2 albums, though, you will not oppose me on those. I'm sorry. Anyways, next up, we have Chris R. I don't know what he goes by or how you pronounce his artist name, but El Trap de Colombia. This album should have stayed in Colombia because this shit is trash. This is the guttural manure of reggaeton. This is everything you hate about reggaeton. It's just garbage. I'm sorry. He brings nothing new to the table. Here's the other thing. He's from Medellin. That's a city that's producing some of the best talent in his Spanish music in general. Even if you don't talk about the upper echelon of artists like a J Balvin or Karol G, or like the who's who of that city, right? You still have, just a tier below, you have people like Maluma and shit like that. This dude is nowhere near that, bro. He couldn't even make the B-sides of the worst Daddy Yankee project. I'm sorry, this dude is not it. I don't know what people who listen to reggaeton think of this album, but it can't be too positive because, I don't hear about this dude. I don't think he's moving the needle either over there or over here. Maybe I'm speaking as somebody who's from the States and listens to the genre, but maybe I don't know shit about shit. There's better songs to throw on at the club. There's better songs to shake ass to. There's better songs to throw on at the cookout. This album did jack shit for me. Don't listen to this album. I warned you. Listen if you must, but I will not concede on this. I thought this shit was trash. And luckily, last but not least, yes, I only thought 3 albums were offensive this month. There was a lot of bangers. Be on the lookout for the next video. The best albums of March. But anyways, lastly, we have... what the fuck is this called? Declassified by Tom MacDonald. Where do I start with this album? I've never really been a Tom MacDonald fan, right? But I've also never been opposed to listening to anything that he puts out because I just want to see what the evolution is. What is this guy on about now? Before that, can any Tom MacDonald fans explain to me why he's so I don't know, pro USA, red, white, and blue, but he's from Canada. I don't get it. Like, someone explain that shit to me. But anyways, this album, it's not so much the messaging, right? Because I don't give a fuck about the politics of it all. I don't care if he's like both anti-right wing and left wing. This isn't about the politics. This isn't about the message in the music. It's about how it's packaged, the delivery of it. The delivery of this is just, it's bad. It's very preachy. It's very corny at times. You know, you can talk about like overly political acts in music that don't sound corny. Like, maybe you don't agree with the messaging, but the delivery or the packaging is palatable, presentable, or even amazing in some cases. You know, you talk about bands like Rage Against the Machine, Green Day, Immortal Technique. Again, those are very like left-leaning ideology-wise, but I feel like even people who oppose their politics could listen to it and bump it, right? You know, get the head moving, rock out to it, whatever it may be. You don't get that from this album, man. I'm sorry, you don't. So I know he was very right-wing, very traditional values, very red-pilled, but now it's like I don't know what happened. There's a lot of songs where now he says he's pissing off the right wing or the conservatives. Can anybody fill me in on that? What did he say that pissed him off? I also want to know, and this is the part that pisses me off, right? I think for the first time, and I'm not going to claim to be a Tom MacDonald diehard here, but there were instances of him presenting subject matter that actually made me go, wow, I might actually give a fuck about this person. Wow, there's a person there. It's not some preachy fucking character or whatever. You know, he talks about working the oil rigs with his father and that his sister was in the hospital and all this other shit. Where's that? Where's the songs about that? Get away from all this politics bullshit, man. I'm sorry. Like, shit is not it, man. It doesn't matter what you believe in or whatever the case may be. If you're just constantly preachy, constantly annoying about shit, you're not going to get anybody to be on your side. I feel like there's more to Tom MacDonald, and even though I don't like his delivery and I don't like how he raps, he should make songs about his past, because that's when my ears perked up. I'm like, oh shit, something serious happened in his life. You know, he talked about how he had a girlfriend and she got pregnant, and he said, well, obviously I'm not a dad now, so you know what happened. I'm like, well, what the fuck? Well, why don't we get songs about that? What's all this? Bro, just stay away from the politics. Yeah, it just pissed me off because there's potential there, right? He could make songs that people would actually relate to, actually probably bump, you know, something along the lines of maybe, not to compare the two, because obviously I think one is better than the other, but NF talks about his past a lot, but I don't think he comes off as preachy, at least not to me. Anyways, I thought that was the worst album this month. Again, I'm not including albums that I see everyone shitting on if I didn't listen to them, so forgive me for that, but let me know what some of your worst albums of the month were. Those were mine. Fucking luckily, there was only 3, in my opinion. We can talk about Exodus and Yeet in the comments if you'd like. But yeah, what are some albums I missed out on that were trash that you think I should check out just for the memes? What are some that were great? Be sure to be on the lookout for the next video, which are the best albums in the month of March. I'd greatly appreciate it if you'd like the video and subscribe to the channel, support your boy. And with all that being said, team, I go by Sub-Zero on the internet, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.